had been doing Spider-Man, I believe, already. And somebody apparently liked what I was doing, or there was nobody else available. I couldn't tell you. I remember Chris Claremont being less than thrilled because he had been working with some great guys before me, John Byrne and Paul Smith. But we developed a friendship afterwards. I don't remember exactly what caused them to offer me the X-Men, maybe because I was doing good enough on Spider-Man that they enjoyed it. But I do, the most vivid part of that was getting a call from John Byrne saying, hello, how are you? You won't last more than a couple of years. You'll get fried because it's a group book. And Chris is demanding of a group. It was not simple. It was difficult, but it was very exciting. And it was very intimidating. Chris was demanding. He wanted it to look a certain way. And it ended up doing very well, and I was happy on it. And then I got moved on to other things. And it doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to stand up and say, I want to try something different. It was them moving the pieces around, and then they asked me to do something else afterwards. But I was on X-Men for about 4 years the first time, after being on Spider-Man, after being on Iron Man. Generally, it could happen as quickly or as easily as bumping into a writer who likes your stuff or likes my storytelling, which, interestingly enough, the latter was what happens. A lot of writers like my storytelling. I became a better storyteller after working on Daredevil, for instance. After getting, not booted off the X-Men, I was asked to do something else. I forgot what it was. Maybe it was Starbrand or something. And I never got a chance to get back on the X-Men again, and I was frustrated, and I think I wanted to leave Marvel. And Ralph Macchio, the editor, asked me, if you're not doing anything, you want to do Daredevil? He says, I'll let you work with Ann Nocenti, who's a great, talented lady. She was one of the editors. You guys can plot together. You can do all your own storytelling, and it's plot. You control as much as you can. And that actually was a turning point, because at that point I was frustrated with the industry, let alone Marvel. And that got a chance to work with Al Williamson, and that run on Daredevil was a lot of fun. I got a chance to work with Frank on the graphic novel Man Without Fear. So if somebody were to ask me what was a turning point or a specific point that changed things for me, made it better, it was that run on Daredevil. I'd called Frank literally and asked him to work on a Wolverine graphic novel, and his words were, without hesitation, everybody's doing a Wolverine graphic novel. I got something better. And told me about this year one. He used the term year one maybe after that, but he mentioned that it was supposed to be a treatment for a film or a TV show. Sent it to me and said, this is going to be cool. You can knock yourself out with the storytelling. And again, I had cut my teeth working with Ann Nocenti on Daredevil, and I knew how to tell a story. But to work with Frank after what he had done previously just made it, I think he had done Batman Year One already? I don't remember. So that was his Daredevil Year One, so to speak. And he let me run wild with it, and it went from a 64-page graphic novel to 144 pages because he called me from the RoboCop set while he was in Houston, rewriting several scripts. And he says, I have an addendum, by the way. I'm going to add a couple of pages in between page 17 and 18. So he sends me a couple of pages typed up, and it ended up being 88 pages of filler. So it was a long addendum. But he laughs at me, saying I'm the one that turned it into 88 pages. It should have only been 5 or 6. He says, that's you, Romita, it was your fault. Probably to this day, the most enjoyable start, finish, and result sales-wise of any project I had. Up to this point with Superman Year One, which is the same type of thing with Frank. He just gives me a little bit and lets me run with it. There are some vignettes in that, and some moments in that, where I took the Kingpin as a mafia godfather with incredibly strong abilities. So he just kind of breaks the neck of the existing Don and takes the roast. Little things like that, because the Kingpin was based on being the Kingpin of crime, based on a character that my father had seen in films, Sidney Greenstreet or something like that. But he didn't make it organized crime per se until Stan added to that as the organized crime, the Kingpin. I never thought of him as a mafia godfather per se, but I wanted to add that avenue to it. And adding him into Daredevil and the streets, Hell's Kitchen, New York City, it kind of became that. But Frank handled it so well. It was great. It was great. Mark and I worked on Wolverine, Enemy of the State, and he and I got along famously. And then he said after Wolverine, he said, I have an idea for a creator-owned, and you might like it. It's going to be very freeing, very liberating. And at the time, I had seen things being done, but didn't know if I could do what I thought was going to be just underground comics. I didn't know it was going to become what it became. So as we were working, he'd say, listen, you have to know that you can do anything you want. Violent, adult material. We're free to do whatever we want. And once I caught on to that and was able to adapt my storytelling formula to ultra-violent and ultra-adult material, it ended up being a nice marriage. But he's a mad scientist, Mark. Brilliant, just brilliant. And we started off with just Big Daddy and Hit Girl. And then it morphed into Kick-Ass with finding a male teenager to be involved in it. And then it became Kick-Ass. We used to have conversations, my wife and I. I'd come to bed, and after spending the whole day on Kick-Ass, I would rhetorically say, you know, I have no idea how to kill somebody in the next issue in a way that I haven't done before. And she'd give me a double take. What did you just say? I said, yeah, I just disemboweled a couple of people. And Mark wants me to decapitate this next character. I said, but this is only the 5th issue, and we have 3 more to go in this first run. I can't decapitate somebody because that's the most climactic part. You can't. There's no, how much else can you do? So I was cutting people partially in half, legs, arms. I wanted to save the decapitation to the perfect moment, and I used it in Hit Girl with Mother Russia. But the conversations between my wife and I were surreal. She'd say, are you really asking me how to kill somebody? Not really, just can you think of anything that's different? But I came up with new and inventive ways to slaughter people. Just fantastic. And now we have the new girl, Kick-Ass New Girl, which is a returning Iraqi vet in the costume, which is a fantastic run. Mark just pulled it out of the bag. It's great. Oh no, he's gonna destroy DC. Or oh no, he's destroyed Marvel.